Hi, I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Justy,
and together we're losing it. We've each lost over 100 pounds with the help of diet, exercise, and breaking bad habits. And I also had weight loss surgery in 2020.
And I recently had skin removal surgery.
We're just sharing our journey and what we've learned throughout the process.
And we're not doctors, so if you have any medical questions, reach out to your doctor.
Welcome back, friends. We are here today to talk about I know we already talked about how to finish the year strong, but part of that is going into the holidays, which start this month here with
Yeah.
Halloween and the candy. So just how to start the October holiday, November holiday, December holidays, how to kind of go into them with a game plan and not sabotage our success and or weight loss. So with that being said, Justy, what's the first kind of topic you want to talk about? I know we have some notes. We're
Yeah,
prepared.
what would might be good for people is to kind of hear like what our mindset used to be with going into holidays. I know for me, going on the weight loss journey and the diet mentality and the all or nothing mentality and all the things, I would just have felt like I worked so hard throughout the year to stick to this restrictive plan and blah, 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 that the holidays were like my time to breathe. And I could just like say, fuck it. And, it's the holidays, so I can eat whatever I want type of thing. And then I'll start over on January 1st.
Right. And then here's a list of all the reasons I deserve it, all the hard work
Right.
I put in this year, and everything I've done and why I deserve to go off my rocker for the holidays.
Right. Right. And especially with Steph and I being in the restaurant business, the holidays were go time for us. Like we were literally, I remember working day in and day out, no weekends off, and we worked the holidays. I think, our restaurants, when we were with Bonefish, were only open, closed on like Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. So those were like two guaranteed days off a year.
Right.
So we were going to
Not
take
even.
it.
We had to go ice fish.
Right.
We
So
still leave the building.
we did have to still go in, but so yeah, and I think that all of that mentality, from the all or nothing, the restriction, the this, the that, and the other, the going into holidays with fucker, all of that is bad.
Yeah, right.
I look back on it, all of it was just, none of it was good. And I really work hard, and I know Steph does too, to live a life where we can continue our maintenance and enjoy our life and do it when shit happens and when shit doesn't happen. And when shit is a little too much, we understand that we need to give ourselves grace.
Right. And
And
not
so,
sweep it under the rug, because I think that's a lot of what we did in the past too. Just sweep it under the rug. Like if I don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
right, right. Yeah, for sure. And so I think one important thing about going into holidays, you have to have a really strong, not just for the holidays, just for weight loss or maintenance, you have to have a strong reasons why. I think for us at our point, we just feel so good that we don't want to feel like we used to feel, right? It's
Hmm.
not to our point though, it's harder. If you're in the middle of the journey or the beginning of your journey, it's harder to hold on to that why, because you're not getting as many wins, or you haven't won as much to give you that confidence to say, oh yeah, I got this, like no problem, right? So that's the big one, is kind of the why. I know for me, I don't want to feel like shit again. I don't want to. I want to continue on my goals I've had for this year. I want to continue my workouts. I just want to continue my life because I love it the way that it is.
Hmm.
And that's pretty basic, but that's my why. So I think that's the first step, is like, okay, what are the reasons that I want? What do I want? Who do I want to be after the holidays? Do I want to be regretful? Do I want to be someone with a bunch of, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that? Do I want to have 10 pounds less? Or do I want to set myself up and work through the process as it's coming and end up at the end, at least where I'm at or better? And I
Right.
think of, for me, that's what I want, where I'm at or better. I don't want to
Right.
gain a bunch of weight or feel, worse than I feel now, or I just want to feel better.
And I think for me, since having my surgery 3 years ago, obviously the first year I didn't have to think about it, because in that honeymoon phase, the weight comes off whether you eat, grandma's banana pudding or not. The weight comes off anyhow. It's after that. But my goal for the holiday seasons after that was more so just to maintain. I don't want to gain. I'm not overly enthusiastic about losing through all the holidays either.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I just wanted to maintain, and which I did. And for me, my regain came the after I let me think about this. It was after the holidays. It was almost like I white knuckled it through the holidays, and then I was
Mhm.
like, "Phew, I did
Mhm.
it." And then all of a sudden, it was so, that's a whole future episode. But I made it through the holidays, and then last year I lost because I was back on track. But anyhow, yeah, for me, it's maintaining. That's my goal through the holidays. Is just to maintain. If I lose some, great, but I don't want to gain. It's never my intent to gain. I'm in maintenance mode now, so I want to at least do that. Um, and then I think my why, very similar to yours. It's like I didn't come this far to just come this far. I haven't been fighting for 40, however many years. How old am I? 40, I almost said 42. That's not how old I am. 46, almost 47 years, because I was a chubby baby too. I didn't fight this hard for all that time to like get here and then give it up over like I don't know, a Reese's pumpkin. You know what I
Or
mean?
and
And
I don't even like.
right. And that's the part of it too. So there's just so many little topics that are popping in my head as I'm thinking about it, but that's just it. It's we didn't come this far to only come this far. And that
Mhm.
being said, because it's top of mind after mentioning the Reese's pumpkin, one of the tips that I'm going to give is to not keep your trigger foods in the house, your holiday trigger foods. And
Mhm.
I made a cardinal sin mistake over here, and I was like, oh, I'm at BJ's. I'm going to pick up a bag of candy now for Halloween, which is right. That bag is halfway gone. Granted, I didn't eat the whole half of the bag, but I certainly did eat some of it. But it got dipped into, of course, because who's going to keep a bag of all these mini chocolates and nobody's eating any? And I
Mhm.
should have known better at that time, like, oh, we're definitely going to eat this. I should wait till later. But I didn't, and I got it, and I've been dipping into it. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? This is a total trigger food for you because they're just the little tiny guys. They're just little. And it's like, well, I can just have one or two. But if they
Mhm.
weren't there, I would have had any. There would be no temptation there. So it's like, why do I do that to myself? Why am I bringing this in the house? And it needs to be one of those things where, yeah, I want to get into the spirit. Yeah, we have, an 8-year-old that we're going to take out trick or treating, but let's go and get that candy. Who cares if the good candy's sold out? I'm going to get something else to give these kids then. Like, why get it so far ahead of time when I know it's going to be a trigger for me? So guilty. And I wanted to bring that up because it's a lesson learned right now.
I might be guilty with some pumpkin cookies, break and bake cookies. I bought
Mm.
some, although I will say I'm proud of myself because they have lasted. I just ate the last one today and they've lasted like over 2 weeks. So
Remember
whatever.
I told you when I told you that theory? I still have the cinnamon ones. I think only 3 of them got made, like the cinnamon toast crunch, and there's still like 3 of the chocolate chip left. So it's like
Yeah,
you really got to work for it. You really have to want these cookies if you're willing to
right,
go in the fridge,
for
break
sure.
them off, get the oven preheated, all of that.
Yeah, for sure. And so we both have our whys. Everybody's why is going to be different. If you're starting your journey, it's gonna be a totally different why. If you're in the middle, totally different. At the end, maintenance, totally different. So, but we both pretty much have the same goal: is don't gain weight. And for me, I mean, I have been gaining a little weight, but it's muscle. I've been doing a lot of weightlifting. My pants are smaller and stuff, so I'm just not gaining inches. I want my clothes to fit the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, at the end of the holidays. So, the next thing that I think that we should hit on is, when like being prepared for going into a dinner. And I know for me, with all the holiday food, I don't have kids. Nobody comes trick or treating here. So Halloween doesn't really bother me. I'm around sweets all day. I have 5 bakeries. So I'm okay there. So, but for me, it's Thanksgiving. It's the chicken and dumplings that my mom is sure to make because I'm going to visit her. It's the cornbread dressing.
That
It's
was
all
delicious. I had it
right.
last year.
Yeah. So it's like, I know what I'm going to do is choose the food that I want, that's worth it. The food that gives me comfort. Hey, food gives us comfort and that's okay.
Right.
But I don't really like turkey. So why am I going to eat it? I mean, I need protein, but why am I going to eat it if I don't like it? I don't like that damn
I
green bean
love it.
casserole there, but I
No, I
always
don't like that. No.
get soups because it's there.
Right.
Um,
What
you
a
know,
way to like, what a way to fuck up some green beans, man.
I
Right?
know, right? I know, right? So now
Let's
some people,
let's put some cream of whatever on it and fried onions. Like they were green beans. They used to be just
right,
vegetable.
right. They were perfectly fine without all of that. So, kind of like the foods that I love and think about like, why are those the foods that I love? And decide before what I'm going to have.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing though, like with, oops, sorry, Sancho, the important with me and weight loss is still staying within. I'm going to have the cornbread dressing. I'm not going to get stuffed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to be the stuffed turkey. I'm going to eat the portion that I would eat at home of food, which is about a cup and a half. So all of my choices that I have that I love, my cornbread dressing, my mashed potatoes and gravy, and my pumpkin pie, all need to fit in with that cup and a half, or I've overeaten.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I need to be hungry before I eat it. So if I, eat breakfast in the morning and then we're going to eat, our Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, and I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat a whole cup and a half of food. So it's
Right.
kind of just staying within. I think a lot of times we feel like we're out of control, like we have to have it, but that's so fucking dramatic.
Right. Like you can only eat turkey in November. You can't have it in June.
Right. And it's food on a plate. It's doing nothing to us. It's
Right.
not out to get us. It's not speaking to us.
Right.
We have to have it. We're not going to die if we don't have it. And I guarantee you around the holidays, we're not starving and we have to eat. Like these are all things that I used to tell myself. Like, oh my God, I have to have more. I have to get sick. I'm not going to get this again for a whole nother year. Well, I've had some gym.
You can have leftovers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
you can have leftovers the next day. Like don't be leftovers.
Right. And so that's kind of going to be my mindset going into it. What about you, Steph?
Yeah, same. And so I don't even, honestly, I have no idea what we're doing for Thanksgiving. I haven't even come to think of it. I haven't even really thought about it. And I mean, same thing as well, we were together last Thanksgiving and we had enough food to feed like everybody that was staying in a cabin on that mountain. So we really could have fed literally everybody. But for me, and I'm slightly different because I'm a bariatric patient. And so I couldn't eat more than a cup and a half if I wanted to. It's about the max capacity, and I'd probably be kind of stuffed at that point, depending on how I balanced it. But I need to go protein first. And I do love turkey. I love some turkey and gravy. And that is a comfort to me, especially this time of year. And so, I'll definitely have that, which is great because that's the protein. And then my mom's stuffing is like my favorite, and I usually make it even if she's not around, because she does it with like sausage and whatnot in it. And so, but I do sometimes make it vegetarian just so that way like we can get more use out of it. But those are like my two favorites, and if that's all I had, then I would be perfectly fine with that. And so it's the same thing. It's not making a plate bigger than I can eat. It's not letting it settle and 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, going back and getting some more because I let it settle a little bit and made a little room,
Mm-hmm.
play those games. I just want to do like I would the same type of thing, what I would eat if it was just a regular ass day. But same, portion size, but of like the traditional comfort food. And that is a-okay to eat the traditional comfort food, even if it's not the usual, like, how I flip dishes and make them more bariatric friendly, even if not a damn thing on there is bariatric friendly, just the portion that I need to have, and that's fine. And going protein first. So I just have to make sure that I follow that and I don't overeat, and I'll be fine. And it's just one day. It's one day.
One day.
It's one day.
It's one day. And now I know it was a little more difficult for me when I was working at the home office, is because people would bring in cookies and cake. Every day it was a different little party or celebration, and the cupcakes are in the break room, and it was just more options all the time. And so that was really difficult for me back then. Again, my mindset was completely different. I wish that I could have said, that cookie has nothing to do with my day, my goal, my feelings, or anything else like I can now. I just didn't have that mindset back then. And I know a lot of people do celebrate more than one day, and you know, they have a lot of so my ex-mother-in-law, H1, H1's mom, she was a food pusher. So she was like, she got pleasure in feeding people. And so, which I guess you and I can relate to too, because that's kind of what we do. But she would be like, you have to have it here, have more, like you have to have it. And you know, I think some of us have that as well to deal with as the food pushers. And at the end of the day, like,
set your boundaries. Yeah.
You have to go home with my guilt, or y'all don't have to go home with my full stomach. So I'm just not going to eat the food, you know?
Or maybe respectfully pack some up to take with you. If you're away, it's, you know, you're at someone else's house and they're pushing food on you. You don't have to eat when you get it home, but just say, oh my gosh, I'm so full right now. I'm gonna pack some up and take it with me.
Right.
And hit your trash can if you don't want it. If it's not worth the calories, you don't have to, like, nobody is holding you down with a fork in your face. It's not happening. It's right. Okay to hurt people's feelings over not eating whatever they've created. It's okay.
And I know also for me, I know, so Halloween's not a big deal for me. I don't know when the last time I dressed up. So I'm just not that person. Thanksgiving this year, I'm going to be with my mom. Not my kids though. My daughters and my grandson won't be there, but I will be with my mom. And she's a great cook and we love to cook together. And so I'm going to enjoy those favorites. But Christmas, I'm more than likely going to be sitting at my house alone with Sancho. And so a lot of times during the holiday season too, like loneliness. I mean, that's my biggest downfall when it comes to my things that I still struggle with, is that at night when I'm sitting in this condo by myself with Sancho, I'm bored. You know, and when the holidays happen, it's more like, okay, well, I'm missing my father since he passed. I'm missing, you know, my grandson opening his presents. He's only 4, so he enjoys, like, he's so into that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of people aren't able to be with their family for the holidays, or a lot of people just have anxiety around family as well, and they feel lonely even though they're not. And so I think getting your mindset wrapped around that is really important. And we have quite a few months to do that. Like we have 2 more weeks before Halloween. We've got, you know, over a month and a half before Thanksgiving, and then the same for 2.5 months for Christmas. So we can start now by making our daily choices easy if we're in that all or nothing, and so that we can go into holidays feeling super, super strong.
Right. And I would also say mentally preparing, whether it be standing in front of a mirror, whether it be writing it down. What is it that you're going to say to the food pushers? Like, be prepared for that. Don't get caught off guard. What is it that you're going to say when Uncle Ned makes a comment about how big your butt is, or when your mother-in-law is pushy and you know, makes a comment about your weight or how you look, or somebody says something that triggers you. Like, you already know, you've been through X amount of these holidays before. None of this is brand new. What is it that triggers you? What is it that's going to push you into self-soothing with food? And have those statements kind of boxed up with a bow on them and prepared. Like when Uncle Ned has his comment, like, hey, you could just walk away. Maybe you don't want to say anything, just walk away. That's free. That is perfectly free. You don't pay a dime for walking away from somebody. Maybe his feelings will get hurt, but it's better than what could be hurtful that you say. We don't want to get into like the, you know, like the family, like holiday arguments and that kind of stuff. Like, either don't say anything or have, you know, and walk away from the situation, or have something prepared to say, so that way you're not caught off guard going into situations like that.
The same thing when you're being an asshole to yourself, right? So Uncle Ned can be an asshole, right? Our mother-in-law can be annoying, but we're probably the worst on ourselves. And so, as we should be doing on our journey, is kind of figuring out ways to talk ourselves into good decisions instead of into bad decisions. Because I was really talking myself into bad decisions. I mean, listen, I used to be 300 pounds and I've got the ex-husbands to prove it. So I was really good at like making excuses for why I should be doing what I wanted right now, even though it had nothing to do with what I wanted in my future, right?
Right, right.
So now I'm much better at talking myself into making the decision for my future instead of my immediate needs. And I think so when we talk about having those things that you're going to say to Uncle Ned or to your mother-in-law, you also need to have like mentally things in your head, like what is it that you're going to say to yourself when you're going for that second scoop that you know you don't need, right?
Right.
What are you going to say to yourself when you're going for seconds or you're taking leftovers home that you know damn well you're not going to allow to stay in that refrigerator past midnight?
Right. And
Right.
you're cracking into the Halloween candy that you bought a month ahead of time.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, why are you even buying those pumpkin cookies, girl?
Right,
But
right.
and I enjoyed them. And that's the thing, like weight loss and being healthy doesn't mean you can't have delicious
Be happy as well.
joy,
Right.
right? Happy. But those cookies took me a little over 2 weeks to eat when before I would have probably had them gone in 2 days, right?
Right, right.
The work. And so I think it's really important that we kind of learn how to not, you know, we learn how to talk to ourselves as well and talk ourselves into better decisions.
I
And
will tell you too, I am super fortunate because I hear other people say it all the time, but my family, like my family and friends are very aware of my eating habits, my behaviors, my exercise, like everything that I put into this journey. And I really don't have people that push on me like that or that try to have me do something that I don't want to do. Probably because they know me and I'm not going to do whatever it is that they want anyway. But like I don't eat my mother, she'll always say, "Can you have this?" I'm like, "Mom, I can really have anything I want, but I have to make good choices with it." But she will always ask me, "Is this something you can have? Can you have that? Is this okay?" When she's preparing a meal. Same thing with my mother-in-law. She's very conscious about it, and she'll ask questions or make sure it's okay. Um, my sisters, like everybody, and they're even that way with my husband because he's vegetarian. It's like, well, can he have that? Well, if he can't, he'll have something else. Like we can figure this out. But I do appreciate
right.
that people think about us like that and ask about us like that. And I don't have food pushers or assholes that make there might be one asshole that makes comments, but for the most part we really don't have that, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I don't have that either. I mean, typically, well, I was at Steph's last year for Thanksgiving, so I had all her supportive people. Asshole, but but I don't have that either. I mean, my mom is very supportive. She's just very supportive. She's so sweet about it. And none of my other family, unfortunately I'm not super close to my family, and so we don't really know each other enough for their opinion about me to really matter. I mean, I love them, and that sounded harsh, but whatever. My kids, they'll drive me crazy though, so they won't be there, but I love them to death. But you know, they're a lot. And I'm fortunate too though, also because I know a lot of people deal with drinking at the holidays, so I wanted to bring that up. I don't really drink.
Yeah.
I don't even think I had a drink the whole time I was up at the mountain. Like I'm not a drinker.
Yeah, we're very take it or leave it.
Yeah, very, very take it or leave it. But I also know that some people during the holidays, they kind of use that as well as food to kind of get through all of the stress. And
Jen and I called it holidays on the rocks. We're like, it's going to be a holiday on the rocks this year. Yes, it is. Yeah. But that was 300-pound me, and
right.
And 165-pound me is like, no, we don't need that. It just doesn't align with my goals.
No.
And it's amazing how your whole thought can change like that. Oh, it doesn't align with my goals. Like, I don't feel like I need that. I would rather eat my calories than drink my calories. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, me for sure. For sure. I like a glass of wine every now and then, but I just, I'm just not a drinker, and I'm fortunate to be able to say that, because I mean, there used to be a time when, well, we both know, there used to be a time when I was like,
yes, we do.
and eat my calories, so and then make really bad decisions. But and it's funny too, because like I kind of sometimes kind of have a pity party because I am alone a lot, but at the end of the day, like, man, I'm not making any bad decisions, so
right.
We're good. Sometimes you got to keep her in the closet.
Right. Put that out every once in a while.
And there's some other things that you can do. I know we kind of are talking about setting yourself up for the holidays mentally. I think I don't write things down, and neither does Steph, but I think, writing those foods down, writing those thoughts down, if you're that person, it's really important. I think having somebody going into it that you can kind of bond with, there has to be one person in your family that's got your back, right? Or who
Mhm.
just understands. And so, for me, Steph and I talk all the time about our
We're
journey.
forever texting back and forth, like I did this today or that today, or this is coming or whatever. So yeah, just
Right,
we got to get it up. We don't write it. We type it out in a text. We don't
right.
necessarily write it down, but
Yeah. And so I think, if you do, like, if you have that, significant other that's super supportive and you're like, hey, dude, like, we got to have a code word or something, like, help
when
me
you see
out.
me going for seconds.
Right. Like, right. So, or in-law, there's got to be somebody that you can say, hey, listen, I'm not on a diet, but I'm really just trying to get through the holidays without eating my stress away and feelings away. So finding your support. And that's something that when we were heavier, we didn't have, we didn't, well, for me, I didn't want to admit that something was wrong with me or I was struggling or I had a problem, because my whole mentality is helping other people and fixing other people's problems, and I'm fine.
Mhm.
Right? So I'm fine. And I'm just a big girl. I'm just big boned. Whatever.
Oh,
I had
big
all
things.
these and but I just didn't feel that I had anybody, and it could be my own perfectionism, but I just didn't feel like I had anybody. So just reaching out, even if it's, to online people, there's such a community out there that you can reach
Yeah.
out to. It doesn't have to be anybody in your family that you feel like is going to sit there and judging you. Let's be honest. They probably don't give two fucks about what you're eating. You're the one that's sitting there worried about what Uncle Ned is thinking when he's just drinking his beer watching the football game because he made
Right.
when you were 12 years
And
old.
he's had a few too many beers, so he's in his feels. Let him be in his feels.
Exactly. So I think that's important, is to find your support, have your plan, have your reason why, pick out your foods that you really, really, really want to eat.
One other
Go,
good one we talked about earlier too was not trying to out exercise your bad decisions. Don't
yes,
punish yourself in the gym because you had two slices of pie. You had
right,
two slices of pie, move on with it. That doesn't mean
right.
extra 30 minutes on the treadmill. Not that's all bullshit mentality. Like just don't do that to yourself.
Don't punish ourselves. We don't. We don't punish
Right.
ourselves by restricting food, and we don't punish ourselves by working out for 2 hours. If you want to work out for 2 hours because you like it, do it, but
Right.
don't do it to eat pie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just not a mentality that we need to be in. Just say, hey, I ate the pie. Give yourself some grace, own it. Figure out what you were thinking when you were eating that second piece of pie, when you weren't hungry, and then have a plan for the next time. What are you going to do? What are you going to say to yourself? How are you going to get through that urge? And then before you know it, you'll be a master at getting through urges rather than beating yourself up in the gym because you ate two pieces of pie, or not eating the next day, or
Right.
going on after the holidays. Or, I mean, we could name 100 different things that we used to do, but I think the most important thing is just right now figuring out what are my foods that I'm going to go to, staying within my hunger zone, which is not starving and not stuffed.
Right.
Right? You get starving, you eat too fast and too much. You get stuffed and you feel uncomfortable and you feel like shit, and that your
Right.
body's saying too much. So staying within that.
And
And
also
then
bringing, if you're going to someone's house for something, or I mean, if you're preparing the meal, even better, you have control of it. But if you're going to somebody's house, just bring something you know aligns with your goals that you're going to really enjoy and that other people will enjoy too. So that way, you've got this safe food here with you, especially for bariatric folks that are fairly new out, like newly post-op. Like if you're on a puree diet, like really think about like what can you have? And maybe you just bring stuff with you, or maybe you bring your blender so you can take whatever's there and puree the shit out of it. Whatever you have to
right.
do, think through it, like have a plan.
Yeah. And then there's nothing wrong with you know, going for walks before or after dinner. That's always a nice family thing to do. So you can get your family involved in kind of your journey by saying, hey, let's go for a walk after dinner, or let's do this, or let's
Like
do
I
that.
had everybody do a 5K on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And I think actually I looked in to see if there was one where my mom is, but she lives out in the country, so I'll probably just go for a nice country walk. But yeah, so I think the one thing that I am really, really confident in is that this is going to be my best holiday season because I've done so much work. This is my first holiday season having my skin removal surgery, feeling so great and so strong. I know, Steph, this is, going to be a good year for you too, because we've done a lot of work together.
We have. This has been one hell of a year. I'll say that. Like probably our best year, like together for separate reasons, but together that we are able to be where we are in the position that we're in right now. We're in a maintenance phase. Like we did that.
Right.
We did that.
Yeah. We did it, and we both did it very different. And so that's also, we can't sit here and tell you what you have to do or what you should eat or what your plan is going to be every day for every morsel you put in your mouth. But we can tell you that having a plan going into it, having a mindset of positivity and making decisions for your future instead of your wants right now, learning how to deal with urges and getting through urges is going to help you. And then just sticking to your plan, but then again, not beating yourself up at the end. So,
enjoying yourself, like have fun. You're human.
Yeah.
And the one thing too that we've said before, Justy mentioned it in a podcast before, and I mentioned this to people all the time when we're talking about like fighting urges and that kind of thing, is asking the question of what do I want most? And is it this second piece of pie, or is it to maintain my weight and still fit in my clothes when the new year rolls around?
Right.
It's asking that question, what do I want most? So when you're faced with a situation, just put that one in your holster, because I use it ever since she said it. I was like, that's fucking brilliant, and I use it all the time. That's my girl. She's brilliant.
I think I actually got that from church, actually. So so yeah, it's funny how I sit in church and I think about, okay, how does this deal with my weight loss? Well, whatever. Right. We're getting something out of it, right? So I think what we're going to do next, because we don't have a lot more time, is we're going to do another podcast, like a second part of this, and kind of helping out, like when you're in the moment of that day, of that holiday, of that function, of that party, of that whatever. What are some things that you can do? And then also like afterwards, if maybe you didn't stick to your plan, what are some thought work you can do? Or, hey, let's fucking celebrate our wins, right? Like what can we, do afterwards to set us up for a great 2024 without having to wait until December 1st or January 1st to do it.
Right. And then aside from that, we have some ideas for guests, but I need to get the ball cracking and actually speak to the people. I know they'll say yes, but we have to get it coordinated. So, right. But the rest of this year is just going to be filled with how we get through the rest of the year, honestly.
Right. Yes. And I think everybody struggles with that. And, I know for sure when I was, morbidly obese, it was a time of just like, fuck it.
Pull the blanket over your head and let's do this.
Right. Yeah. So this time I want everybody to have a really clear plan of going into it head first with a strong plan, a strong mindset, and you can do it. It's just food. It's food on a plate.
You're not gonna die or get pregnant.
Right. You're not going to die or get pregnant. So if you don't eat it. So, so anyway, well, that's it for today. See you soon, talking about in the moment holiday decisions and the aftermath of the holidays, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.